So what we have here, this is my effects loop pedal board. So I have two pedal boards, one that goes before the amplifier and this one which goes into the effects loop. Now the send will go from the guitar amplifier and come into this thing here. This is the Loopy 2. It'll get plugged into here into the input. Now what the Loopy 2 is for, it's two separate effects loops. Now the reason I'm using that is because two of the pedals on the board, which is this vintage MXR script logo Phase 90 and the Electro Harmonix Micro Pog, both of these pedals are a little bit noisy even when they're switched off, and I don't want that. I want to keep my signal chain good. So both of those are plugged into here. The MXR Phase 90 is plugged into the first loop, so you can see the input, the signal will go in here, and when I select the pedal as on, it'll go out from here into the MXR, out of the MXR and back into here. And the second one is going to the Pog, so out from this yellow cable into the input, out via this blue one and back in, and then the signal comes out here. So when neither of those pedals are switched on, when both the loops are out, the signal will just go straight in and straight out without having to go through all of that cable and those effects. So from there, from this grey, it's going all of the way over to the Analog Man bi-chorus, which in my opinion is probably the best chorus around. It changes the tone a little bit, but in a nice way, so I'm kind of happy with that. It's got two different chorus settings, so I have one with a kind of faster speed and a slower depth, one with a slower speed and a greater depth. It's got a little switch too, which really changes the characteristic of the chorus. I don't know how to describe it other than its character. Really great chorus unit. So comes out of there and via this little cable here with the red on it, and it goes into the Strymon timeline. Again, in my humble opinion, this is the best delay unit, programmable delay unit around. It's really, really good. Very, very happy with it. And from that, we've got a return out of that into the Blue Sky, also by Strymon, which is an amazing reverb unit. This is, again, this is the nuts. Now, there's this other thing over here, which I know looks a little bit like a wah-wah pedal. This is in fact an expression pedal, which there'll be a lead coming out of that and going into the timeline to control the amount of delay going on. So that's why it's there. It's just not plugged in at the moment because the plug doesn't fit in here, and I've got to wire up a new plug. So that's why it's not connected right now. Working out the layout of your pedal board is of course really important part of the whole process. So once I knew what pedals it was that I wanted on here, I've been trying to figure out how to lay it out in a good way, and I think I've come up with the best thing. It did mean having to turn my Pog around on the side, just with the big George L's there. It didn't fit the other way. I use these George L patch connectors, right? Because they're really simple to trim and to adjust for different lengths and redo. I believe a lot of guys are using ones called a lava cable now. I have actually got a lava cable kit, but I found it took so long to make the cables that I just went back to George L's, which I've been using for many years and never had any problems, so I'm probably going to stick with them most of the time, I suspect. So the first thing that I do is lay out the pedals without the cable, so I just try and find them a nice way on the whatever pedal board it is that I'm running. So that's stage one. Second thing I do is I just lay out the cables like this to get their kind of rough lengths, and I experiment with the order of the pedals a little bit while it's still like this with the cables above. Of course you don't want all the cables sitting above like that. The other thing that's important to realise, all of the pedal boards have got their Velcro on. So if I loop up that Strymon, you'll see on the back there I've got two bits of Velcro stuck on the back of them. I generally cover the whole back area of the pedal boards. I know some people just put a strip, you know, where there's Velcro for it to go on, but because my pedals tend to move around a bit, I just Velcro up the whole back of it. Good little tip there as well, particularly for the Phase 90s. I'll get this one off because it's easier, but it's just to cut the corners of your Velcro so you can see the screws. All of this is going to be powered by the Voodoo Labs digital pedal power digital, because you really need a high power pedal power for both of these Strymon things. So that's over in the corner here under the Analog Man. If I just lift that up, you'll see there's the pedal power. In fact, that one can come up as well. There we go. So there's the pedal power digital. I haven't run the power cables yet because I wanted to give you a bit of a view of the setup of this, and I do the power cables after I've done the main cable. So you can see I've left them without pressing them down too hard at this stage, so I can lift them all off. The trick, when you want to settle them permanently, you press down and kind of wobble the pedal about a bit, and then it'll be a lot more solid on the Velcro. So at this stage I've just left them quite lightly touching while I'm trying to figure out exactly the way around it. And the next stage for me is now to run all of the cables under and through as much as I can. So for example, if I take this green one here, which is going from the timeline to the blue sky, what we need to do is I'm going to flip that round so it's going under. That's going to go under the pedal board like that, under the little beam of the pedal train, back up through the hole, and then that will be going into the, I think, the left input. And I'm leaving here just enough between all my pedals for the leads to go in between. I think that's a really good plan, is to have just enough for the pedals to go through, and you can see already that's tidying up quite well. Now I'm actually going to shorten that lead a little bit because it's a little too long. Now it's okay, that end. So now you can do it with scissors. In fact, no, I'm going to leave that for a second. I'm going to do that job off. There's no point in me trying to do that here now, but you can see that's the plan, is to get all of these cables running underneath. So if I'm working backwards through the signal chain, now here's this one, this is from going from the bi-chorus. So if I just lift up this Pog for a second and tuck that lead there underneath, and then feed it through till I can see it. Come on, where have you gone? This is the general idea. Again, it'll just feed down next to the in between the bottom of the Pog and the bi-chorus there, through, and that'll go into the input there. So, and I'm just going to continue doing that now. So one of the tricks here, when I'm putting the cable on, is giving it a bit of a turn so it's nicely seated, and then folding it in the direction that I want the cable to go. I think that's a pretty good little tip, and it saves making unnecessary kind of creases in the cable. Okay, you can see here now that the main kind of wiring is done, and there's what's left to do is the power. Now the power for all of these pedals is going to run from this pedal power digital in the back. Now it looks like there's a few sockets there, but there is only in fact 4 power outputs, but they're very high power outputs. So I'm going to be running one to the timeline, one to the blue sky, and then I'm going to split the others between the Analog Man and the Loopy 2, and the MXR and the Pog using splitter cables, which actually haven't arrived yet. This is the least important because I run this off a battery most of the time anyway, actually, at the moment. So the main thing I'm going to power up now is the Timeline, the Strymon, the Analog Man, and the Loopy 2, because I can run that off and not use those two pedals until my little splitter cables show up. This little bit of toing and froing motion just sets the pedals nicely in place. This is due to go out there. All of the audio cables should be fine. It's just the power cables which will need a little bit of tidying up. Shouldn't put that expression pedal on yet. As you can see, it's a little bit bulky around here at the moment. So normally, now I'm not going to do it just yet, but normally I would group them together into a little bunch like that. I don't know if you can actually see that. I've just tied them into a little grouping, and then I would cable tie that into the back of the board, so it's just kept neat and tidy. I'm not going to do that yet because I'm waiting on those two splitter cables. I have run a cable here for the Pog, just so I can connect that up with a splitter cable when that arrives. But otherwise, we're pretty much done. So there you have my effects loop pedal board.